When I added this title, I was actually a little worried, because after all, I have not been to every temple in China, and I also know that everyone has different standards of beauty. But when I put all the shots of Huayan Temple together, I felt confident and said what was in my heart. This temple is the temple with the highest aesthetic pattern in China, no doubt about it. When I was talking about Shanhua Temple, I said that Shanhua Temple and Huayan Temple are both my favorites, but their temperaments are completely different. If Shanhua Temple is simple and quiet, then Huayan Temple fully demonstrates the grandeur and refinement of a royal temple. I know that many people have their favorite temples, such as the Fuguang Temple in Wutai, the Longxing Temple in Jingding, or the Shisi Temple in Zhujiang, etc. But my channel is naturally to shoot my favorite temples. Some people may think that it is an exaggeration to say that Huayan Temple is the most beautiful in the country. But in my limited experience of visiting temples, the temple that can be magnificent, simple, exquisite and elegant at the same time is none other than Huayan Temple. Many people just take a quick look at the temples when visiting them. At most, there will be a tour guide to introduce the history of the temple. It is rare to spend more than 2 hours in a temple. This is why I searched the entire internet and couldn't find a video that can capture the beauty of Huayan Temple. I am a little regretful about this, because after I visited many temples in the country, I came back here again and found that just like Daotong, which is greatly underestimated, the value of Huayan Temple is also greatly underestimated. I spent almost a whole day shooting this most beautiful temple in my heart, and I was lucky. Huayan Temple in late autumn also showed me its most beautiful side. I think I should not have missed any of its charming corners, and the shooting process is indeed intoxicating. I think I have taken pictures of those buildings that have stood for thousands of years, those huge and magnificent eaves and brackets, and those ancient trees that have stood in front of the temple for hundreds of years. My video at Shanhua Temple has expressed my love for Tang and Song Dynasty-style architecture, and I have never felt the grandeur that Ming and Qing Dynasty architecture should have. Even when I went to the Forbidden City, it was the same. Buildings are not big enough to show grandeur and magnificence. And I think when you come to the square in front of the mountain gate of Huayan Temple, as long as you have a little patience, you can feel the beauty and grandeur of Song Dynasty architecture. When you walk into the mountain gate and see the Pu Guangming Hall, I think this grandeur and atmosphere will impress everyone who comes here. I am actually secretly shocked by the aesthetics of the people who rebuilt Huayan Temple. Although the Pu Guangming Hall was rebuilt in imitation of the Mani Hall of Longxing Temple, it is almost perfectly integrated with the Liao and Song styles of this temple, and there is a huge square-like forecourt in front of the hall. This is almost unique in other temples in China. This design has greatly increased the grandeur of Huayan Temple. If you want to know what a real royal temple should look like, I think you can only come to Huayan Temple. And the trees planted in this forecourt are also the finishing touch. It was late autumn when I came here. I believe that you will have the same experience as me from my lens. The beauty of Chinese architecture is really intoxicating. I sat in this front yard for a long time, and I thought, as a Chinese, how can you feel our own history? Is it the Chinese characters that we have long been accustomed to? Or is it the 5,000 years that are constantly described in textbooks? And when I was surrounded by these beautiful buildings that only exist in China, it was the same feeling as if I was standing on the wall of Datong or next to the huge columns of the Pantheon in Rome. History is right in front of me. As one of the most precious temples in North China, you can certainly see the most precious Buddha statues in Huayan Temple. But to be honest, I think the Buddha statues in the Buddhist Sutra collection are too simple. What the Sutra collection pavilion looked like 1,000 years ago is still the same now, so that all those who come here can only vaguely feel the charm of these Buddha statues in the dark. Cameras are not allowed to enter and shoot, so I can only do my best to capture these blurry pictures. On the contrary, this newly built Buddha statue made of camphor wood, although not painted, conveys a kind of transcendent peace. Every time I come here, I will stand here for a while and admire the beauty of the Buddha statue, and I will become as calm as the Buddha statue. Maybe in a few hundred years, this Buddha statue will become as precious as Huayan Temple. If you just appreciate Huayan Temple as a temple, I think you may have greatly underestimated the charm of Huayan Temple. As I said above, the aesthetics of the people who restored Huayan Temple must be extraordinary. The whole temple is a huge and exquisite Chinese Tang-style garden. As a photographer, I think it is very happy here. You can enjoy the beauty of the ancient gardens in northern China. It is completely different from the small and beautiful gardens in the south, and it is also different from the Ming and Qing gardens in Beijing. Naturally, it is also different from the temple design in Japan. I have hardly seen any introduction to the garden design here in any video. To be honest, it is a bit regrettable, because I have always felt that the importance of Chinese ancient buildings is not just the unique architectural style and historical heritage. The exquisite, distant, profound, and Zen state, which are the temperaments that only Oriental architecture can have, are fully displayed in this temple. In Huayan Temple in late autumn, you can see countless colors. I think this should be the best time to come here. Sometimes I even think that the ancient tree in front of the Buddhist Sutra repository is the essence of this Sutra repository. With it, coupled with the plaque on the Buddhist Sutra repository, this scenery can be said to be the best of ancient buildings. And with these pines and cypresses as the foreground of the Huayan Pagoda, do you also mistakenly think that this pagoda has a history of 1,000 years? I think people who can see this should be able to feel everything I said above. This is why I have come to Datong so many times, and why I feel that I must make this video. Our history is almost a history of the destruction of ancient buildings, and the buildings that can be preserved to this day are really worthy of all Chinese people to cherish. In my eyes, Huayan Temple is the treasure among these treasures. When I talked about Liang Xiqing and Lin Huiying before, I called them great men. Some people may object to this title, but in my opinion, great men are people who have made important contributions to the country and the nation. Compared with those so-called great men, who have caused disasters to national culture, I think this title is not an exaggeration for these two gentlemen. They have spent their lives telling the Chinese people and the world how important Chinese ancient buildings are, which is also the cornerstone of Chinese cultural inheritance. When I was in this well-protected temple, what I could do was to record its most beautiful sides so that more people could see it.